Chapter 91 Link, Smoker, you should be able to beat him in half of the high-end game, right? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Navy Branch 153, after seeing the prosperous scene of Link's Shield's town and his attitude towards refugees, Koshiro's attitude towards Link changed completely. At the same time, he began to teach the Navy to learn swordsmanship with all his heart, and even Link learned a lesson. After all, he is very interested in things that can increase his own strength. It's not clear whether Link's Marines are talented and intelligent, or whether Koshiro's teaching skills are truly astonishing. The results of the Navy's study of Kendo are very gratifying. In less than a week, many of his subordinates have reached the level of ordinary swordsmen, not to mention being able to capture those pirates with tens of millions of bounties on their heads, but at least 1 to 2 million level pirates are no longer a match for this group of Navy. In today's East China Sea, all the tens of millions of pirates have been looted by Link, and the remaining pirates are basically only around 1 million in strength. The melee combat capabilities of his navy are basically adequate. In addition, they will transform the large battleships of the Creek pirates into naval warships, and each warship will be equipped with Link bombs modified from Bucky bombs. In fact, since the warships of Navy Branch 153 began patrolling, those pirate groups that unfortunately encountered Navy Branch 153 were all wiped out, leaving almost no survivors. Either choose to surrender, be willing to submit to reform, and devote your labor to generate income for Branch 153. Or choose to resist and kill. With their cruel style and terrifying combat power, pirates in the entire East China Sea did not dare to make mistakes and retreated into darkness, and Link also received praise from the Navy headquarters for his effective management of the East China Sea. Just when Link thought his peaceful time would last for a long time, a phone call suddenly came. Hey! This is Navy Branch 153. Do you need help with anything? At the next moment, Nami's voice came from the other end of the phone. Brother Link, I'm Nami. Recently we caught a group of guys with bounties worth tens of millions. They called Jim himself Mr. Five and Machida called himself Mr. Valentine. Can I exchange the bounty with you? Gold. Seeing the phone bug's eyes turn into Bailey's, the corners of Link's mouth twitched slightly. When he parted ways with the Straw Hat Boys, in order to attract them to kill the pirates, he called himself as soon as possible so that they could go there on time to claim the credit. Link specifically told Nami that if he caught a criminal with a bounty on his head in the future, he could contact him directly through the phone bug. He could use his own salary to pay for the bounty. After all, the Straw Hats still don't have any bounty on their head, despite the help of Link's behind-the-scenes operation, but after all, there is a pirate flag on their ship, so it is impossible to collect rewards like a bounty hunter. They can only rely on Link, so in order to earn this bounty, the money-loving Nami naturally chose to agree to Link without hesitation and became the mafia that facilitated Link's promotion and salary increase. 2 criminals with tens of millions of bounties on their heads. Of course it's no problem, I'll send someone over right now. Link replied, thinking silently. Hear the information in Nami's words and combine it with the plot of the original work. Link has roughly guessed that the timeline where Luffy and others are located should be near Whiskey Peak, including Nami and the others have also been in contact with Princess Vivi of Alabasta. Is Luffy finally going to fight Crocodile? I get the credit again. Link's eyes lit up. If he guessed correctly, after the Battle of Crocodile, his own military rank should be promoted to Brigadier General. At the same time, he is also eligible to apply for a famous sword. After all, he had also studied under Koshiro in elementary school, and his strength was about the same as that of a swordsman. It would be unreasonable if he didn't have a famous sword like this. However, even though Link coveted Crocodile's considerable achievements, he did not directly say that he wanted to go there. Rather than taking the initiative to ask for help, Link still wanted to wait for Nami or Weiwei to take the initiative to ask for help. After all, it would be too cheap if I offered to go over to help. Only by letting them take the initiative to ask for help and then go over by myself would it be easier to get the other person's gratitude. Sure enough, not long after Link said he would send someone over later, the appearance of the phone bug changed the next moment. Hello Lord Link, I am Vivi, the Princess of Alabasta, now working as an undercover agent in a secret organization in a Baroque studio. While undercover, I discovered that the goal of this Baroque studio is to subvert our Alabasta regime. I hope to get help from the Navy. Listening to the words coming from the other end of the phone, Link's expression became a little strange. Why do these words sound so similar to Qin Shi Huang's phone scam in his previous life? That's not right. This is not even as good as a phone scam. Fortunately, Qin Shi Huang was able to draw a big picture of establishing a prince and commanding the army. Why is there no big picture in Wei Wei's words? Is this still a qualified member of the royal family? Thinking of this, Link coughed a few times, and then joked. Princess Wei Wei, may I ask if you have given me any less conditions? For example, if I send the navy to assist, and when your kingdom is at peace, you can make me a noble? At the very least, shouldn't you give me a reward? But when Wei Wei heard Link asking her for noble status and money, she was confused. She subconsciously asked, what kind of noble status do you want? Princess Vivi doesn't look very smart. Didn't she realize I was joking? Hearing Vivi's answer, Link knew that she definitely didn't realize that he was actually joking. Let's not talk about whether Vivi has the ability to make him a noble. Even if Vivi wants to make him a noble, he doesn't dare to accept it. You should know that the only genuine noble and royal family in Alabasta is the Nefertari family. This family is one of the 20 royal families that created the world government 800 years ago, and is the descendant of the legendary celestial dragons. Although it refuses to enter the Holy Land and does not have the privileges that normal celestial dragons have, it is not something that ordinary people can become. At least Link feels that it is impossible for an ordinary person like him. Okay, Princess Vivi, I'm just joking with you. Alabasta is one of the member states of the world government and should be protected by the Navy, but our Navy also needs sufficient evidence and preparation to go out. Since you have infiltrated the Baroque works that intends to destroy Alabasta, do you have any specific list of personnel or evidence to prove that Baroque works attacked Alabasta? Link continued to ask. He had to ensure that his actions were legal and compliant, and not pay attention to any flaws, so that he could get a perfect promotion. Vivi was silent for a moment. Unfortunately, I don't have any evidence on hand, but I know who the boss of Baroque works is. He is the current Shichibukai Crocodile. Crocodile. Hearing this, Link pretended to be very surprised and continued to ask. Princess Vivi, do you know that the Shichibukai is a measure taken by the world government to intimidate pirates and protect the government's member countries? Your accusation against the Shichibukai is a strong accusation. If the facts are not as you said, you may have to pay a huge price. Vivi cried excitedly, every word I said is true. I hope that Lord Link can help Alabasta overcome the difficulties. But you have no evidence, and we have no way to report to the Navy headquarters, so naturally we can't mobilize a large number of Navy. How about this? My friend Colonel Smoker and I will come to Alabasta to help you investigate on the pretext of personal friendship. If your accusation is true, we will personally bring Crocodile to justice. How about this? You follow Luffy. I am quite confident in their strength. Crocodile may not be their opponent. In a few days, Smoker and I will also rush to Alabasta to join you. Link smiled and explained his plan to Wei Wei. Although now that he has shared the ability of Qianlong's adventure link, with Link's current strength, he should not have to worry about Crocodile at all. But in the world of pirates, especially as a navy, Link feels that it is better to hide his strength if possible. He doesn't want to be commanded by those celestial dragons at that time. For Link, the best plan now is to let Luffy and others kill Crocodile directly according to the original work, and he only needs to go and pick up the credit. But considering that Crocodile may not be killed by Luffy with a plot like in the original work, therefore, he also specially prepared to take Smoker to Alabasta to fight Crocodile. By the way, see whether the haze is strong or the sandstorm is strong. Although Smoker's record in high-end games is indeed very poor, the battle with Crocodile should only be regarded as half a high-end game. Although Crocodile in Alabasta had developed his fruit ability to perfection, he had obvious shortcomings in terms of domineering. Smoker should be able to deal with it, right? Link thought silently in his heart. Letting Smoker deal with Crocodile is his second plan. Admittedly, this approach will give Smoker some credit, but Link is not worried that Smoker can take too much. The so-called credit is not the more you do, the more you get, but the more good the report, the more credit you get. Smoker, that guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes, can't write a report at all, and he certainly can't compete with him for credit. Anyway, Smoker doesn't care about the size of his so-called military rank in this. Case, the pain of promotion and salary increase should be borne by him, Link. After hearing Link's arrangements and promises, Vivi's eyes were slightly red, and she cried with joy, "Thank you, Lord Link." "You're welcome." Link responded with a smile, "It's okay, everything is for justice." Chapter 92 Smoker, What? I Fight Crocodile? You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Rogue Town. Colonel Smoker, Colonel Link asked us to come over. He has a private job for us. Tashigi reported to Smoker with a naval telegram in her hand. Link? Does that guy think we are his white gloves? He even wants to order me to work. Smoker, who insists on smoking every day, put down the fitness equipment in his hand and spit out a big puff of smoke viciously, thanks to Link's 153rd branch chasing pirates on a large scale in the East China Sea. Smoker, who used to see a wave of pirates every 3 to 5 days, has nothing to do, he can only be a street urchin in Rogue Town all day. Colonel Smoker, Colonel Link said this is a very important private matter. As long as it is a private matter, I will not help, that even if he has a good relationship with Link, it does not mean that the other party can do whatever he wants to him. He even wants to order him to do private work. Tashigi glanced at the telegram in her hand again and asked again, "So, Colonel Smoker wants me to reject him?" "No, this kid knows my character. If it's purely a private matter, he will definitely not come to me." Smoker shook his head. He scolded Link, but Smoker knew that Link was very familiar with him. Since the other party chose to send him such a telegram, it means that in Link's eyes, he would agree to his request. "Tell me, what is the private work?" "It seems that a country called Alabasta in the Grand Line was spied on by Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Crocodile intends to overthrow the regime of this country, and Colonel Link wants to invite us to help save that country." Tashigi repeated the telegram sent by Link in detail. "What? Crocodile?" That when Smoker heard Tashigi say this name, his face suddenly changed. He even suspected that he had heard it wrong. The 7 warlords of the sea sent by the world government actually intended to overthrow the regime of a member country of the world government. I've said long ago that asking the 7 warlords of the sea to check and balance pirates is like asking bandits to enter the village. But the high-ranking officers of the Navy and the pig brains of the world government just don't believe it. Wait, is what Link said true? Is there any evidence? Smoker's face was ugly, and the next moment he exhaled smoke that instantly enveloped the entire Navy branch. This smoke can definitely block the sound from flowing out, so as to prevent outsiders from hearing the conversation between the two. Colonel Link said there is no evidence, so he can't report it to the Navy headquarters. He can only find us to go to Alabasta to collect evidence on the grounds of private matters. But what if we meet Crocodile? Smoker's face turned black instantly. It is true that in the world of pirates, everyone is stubborn, and Smoker is no exception. If what Link said is true, then he will indeed fight Crocodile, but daring to fight Crocodile does not mean that Smoker is not aware of the gap in strength between himself and the 7 warlords of the sea. The 7 warlords of the sea are the great pirates recognized by the world government, and each of them is at the top of the world. Smoker didn't think he could win for sure. He even felt that he was good enough to delay the opponent's actions. Colonel Link said that Crocodile is a pirate who focuses on developing fruit abilities, and his hockey level is very low. So he thinks that Colonel Smoker should be able to deal with him. Tashigi continued to repeat the information about Crocodile given by Link. What? Low hockey level? Hearing this, Smoker's eyes lit up. Talking about this, he was no longer sleepy. His smoke fruit is completely inferior to other natural fruits in terms of power, and can only expand his attack distance and range at most. If the enemy is good at armed color hockey, then his fruit ability will turn himself into a huge target, allowing the opponent to slaughter him. But if the enemy is not good at hockey, then his fruit ability defects can be covered up. In this way, Smoker has the confidence to fight the opponent on equal terms. I understand, Tashigi. Remember to bring your den mushi. If you encounter that sand crocodile, call the Navy headquarters for support as soon as possible. We will go to meet Link now. Thanks to the use of smoke as energy for spraying, the speed of Smoker's warships is quite good. When the sun was high at noon, they arrived at the 153rd branch under Link. Smoker. You are finally here. Link's eyes lit up when he saw Smoker's figure. Isn't this a cannon? Smoker, the powerful Navy captain. As long as the other party is willing to show up, then the next candidate for the battle against Crocodile will be there, and he doesn't need to do it himself. Link, when are we leaving? You know, Alabasta is on the Grand Line, and it will take us a long time to get there. Out of trust in Link, Smoker did not ask Link how the other party knew that Crocodile wanted to overthrow Alabasta, but directly asked when to leave. Link explained, let's go now. I've asked Luffy and the others to go to Alabasta in advance, hoping they can delay Crocodile's actions. Your black-gloved straw hat guy and the others. The strength of those guys is pretty good in the East China Sea, but it's still too difficult to fight Crocodile of the King's Shichibukai. Smoker frowned slightly. He had cooperated with Luffy and others before when they were encircling and suppressing the dragon pirates. Based on the strength of Straw Hat Luffy, calculated according to the conventional bounty, it is at the level of 30 million to 50 million. Did Link underestimate the Shichibukai king a little too much, and actually thought that Straw Hat Luffy could delay Crocodile's actions? Don't worry, Straw Hat and the others won't be defeated that easily. They are very tenacious. Link said casually, perhaps by the time we get there, we can bring back the defeated Crocodile. Smoker. Regarding Link's wishful thinking, Smoker didn't know whether he should say it was because he was naturally optimistic, or whether he needed to go to the hospital to have his brain checked. Luffy can defeat Crocodile with his strength, so why not say that he can directly kill the Yonko of the New World? If nothing else, just move all the things you need onto the boat. The people and items on my side have been prepared. Do you have any other helpers? Smoker asked with a frown. Of course, we have to face the King Shichibukai this time. Naturally, we have to be more cautious, so I specially asked Koshiro, the swordsmanship instructor of our branch 153. As Link was talking, an uncle with squinting eyes appeared in front of Smoker. I met Colonel Smoker in Xiaoshuanyue Koshiro. Hello. Smoker responded to Koshiro while looking him up and down. No matter from the appearance or the momentum, Smoker couldn't feel how powerful the opponent was, but since Link specially brought the other party with him, it means that Link should have considerable trust in him, and Smoker can only choose to trust him. Desai-chi, we are ready to leave. Hurry up and move the supplies to Link's ship. Smoker shouted to the top of his warship. Clear. A familiar voice sounded. Hearing this voice, Koshiro suddenly shook his hands and looked over. Dasuki also waved to Link and others at the right time. Is this person? The moment he saw Dasuki's face clearly, Koshiro's pupils shrank. Picture. So similar. If he hadn't buried Guena himself, he almost thought it was Guena who was resurrected. Smoker looked at Koshiro and asked slowly, Sir, do you have any objections to my subordinates? That he could see Koshiro's expression just now. He is already an old man, but he is still staring at a young girl in broad daylight. Even if the opponent's strength may be good, there is also a problem with his character. Thinking of this, Smoker silently distanced himself from Koshiro with a look of disgust. No. Nothing, it's just that your subordinate is very similar to my former friend. Koshiro didn't notice Smoker's disgusted expression. His attention was drawn away by Dasuki. This girl was 99% similar to his daughter Kuina, making him unable to help but fall into memories. Dasuki, please move quickly, the people of Alabasta won't be able to wait that long for us. Smoker's face suddenly darkened when he saw that Koshiro was still unchangeable and staring straight at Dasuki. After reminding Dasuki, he simply went to find Link. What's wrong, Colonel Smoker? Link greeted with a smile. Colonel Link, please take care of your men. The kendo instructor named Koshiro often stares at Dasuki. Smoker said matter-of-factly. Is that so? A strange look flashed across Link's face. Having read the original work, he could naturally guess that the reason why Koshiro kept looking at Tatsuki was because Tashigi looked quite similar to his deceased daughter, but Smoker didn't know this, and it wasn't easy for him to explain. After thinking for a moment, Link agreed righteously, Don't worry, Colonel Smoker. I will definitely discipline him well. After saying that, he immediately found Koshiro and explained the situation to him. "Mr. Koshiro, Colonel Smoker told me that you seem to be very concerned about Captain Dasky. Can you tell me why?" This. Hearing Link's question, Koshiro was confused for a moment. "I don't know how to explain it." "Oh, I understand. Do you feel that Dasky's talent is quite good and you want to accept her as your disciple?" That before Koshiro could come up with an excuse, Link was the first to speak up and give him an excuse. "Ah. Ahem, sir, you are right. I really think that girl is very talented and want to accept her as my disciple." Chapter 93 Koshiro, Zoro, why don't you give the Wado Ichimonji to Tashigi? 3K, you are listening at NovelFull.audio. After having a conversation with Koshiro and Smoker and letting Koshiro show off his skills for a while, Smoker agreed to let Koshiro teach Dashchi swordsmanship. Then Link took everyone on the warship and sailed towards Alabasta. What they didn't know was that there were several members of the Baroque Working Society outside the Navy Branch 153 watching all this silently. And this information was passed back to the headquarters in Alabasta through the phone bug. Alabasta, Rainland Casino. Crocodile's lair. Crocodile looked extremely ugly and crumpled the documents in his hand into a ball. After losing contact with the hunter's lair on Whiskey Peak, he immediately dispatched an intelligence team to investigate the situation. Then he discovered that it was a group of pirates who had just set out to sea and took over the entire hunter's lair in one fell swoop. Originally Crocodile didn't take this matter seriously, just think that the hunter's den is unlucky and encounters difficulties. It's just that the Baroque working group has lost an income point, but after the subsequent intelligence team conducted an investigation into the situation of the pirate group and the hunter's lair, Crocodile started to sweat a little. That pirate group turned out to be the Black Gloves of a new star navy in the East China Sea. And Princess Weiwei of Alabasta sneaked into Baroque Works and discovered his true identity. All the members of Whiskey Peak were arrested, and even Mr. Five and Mr. Valentine failed. And the pirate group that attacked Whiskey Peak turned out to be the Navy's Black Gloves. Then what we want to do has been exposed to the Navy. Crocodile complained to a dark-skinned, tall and hot woman next to him. "Boss, the situation is not that bad." Nico Robin's voice echoed through the room. "The agents from the East China Sea sent information. The naval superior of the pirate group, Link, just invited one of his colleagues, Smoker, to come to Alabasta and did not report the situation to the Navy headquarters. Does this mean that the terrifying combat forces of the Navy headquarters will not come over?" Crocodile stood up happily. What he feared most was that after the other party learned about the incident, he reported it directly to the Navy headquarters. If the Navy headquarters directly sends the general and the demon-slaying order, he will be finished. But if there were just two rural Navy sailors from the East China Sea, how could they be the opponents of his majestic Shichibukai Crocodile? "Yes, boss. According to the news from the agents, it seems that it is because Princess Vivi does not have solid evidence on hand that you intend to subvert Alabasta. Without enough evidence, Colonel Link could not report it to the Navy headquarters, so he had to come to Alabasta to collect evidence." Robin explained slowly. "Very good. As long as the people from the Navy headquarters don't come, the rest will be rotten fish and shrimps. But just in case, take Mr. One and Miss with both hands to intercept their movements as much as possible. Don't let that group of Navy come over so quickly. I will also speed up the pace and ask them to hand over the historical text as soon as possible, and then find Hades." Crocodile spoke quietly. Since the last defeat of the Whitebeard pirates, Crocodile has wanted to come back with revenge all the time, but because Whitebeard is too powerful, even if he can cultivate the fruit to the awakening state and raise his domineering power to its peak, he may not be able to take advantage of the opponent. As a result, Crocodile could only place his hope of defeating the opponent on external forces, namely, Pluto, one of the three legendary ancient weapons. He deliberately established the Baroque Working Society and recruited Nicole Robin, who knew ancient writing, in order to get this Hades. "Okay, I will now tell Mr. One and Miss to leave as soon as possible to stop the Navy." Robin replied quickly, then turned and left. Looking at Robin's leaving figure, Crocodile's eyes became cold. In fact, in his mind, the moment Robin finished translating the historical text and helped him find Hades was the moment when the other party died. After all, the name Son of the Devil did not come from Hai Feng. In the past 20 years, every boss of the Son of the Devil has been betrayed by the Son of the Devil. Even though Crocodile thought that it was pretty good and that all the benefits should be provided, he still had no confidence in taking it back. A bomb placed next to you who doesn't know when it will explode, if it wasn't still useful, it would have been dealt with by Crocodile long ago. Pluto, Pluto. I hope I can get you smoothly. Although Link himself has lived in the pirate world for a long time, this is his first time traveling to the Grand Line. To be honest, the sailing experience of the Grand Line is much more wonderful than that of the East China Sea. Due to the unique climate of each island, it is possible to experience various extreme weather conditions such as light rain, scorching sun, dense fog, and snowstorms even on the same day. Therefore, the sailing speed of their warships was inevitably slowed down. And it was not until 3 days later that they reached Whiskey Peak. Brother Link, you are finally here. Have you brought your money? Seeing the dragon-headed navy ship, Nami with a bright smile and Zoro with a bad face trotted over, because he needed to complete 2 tasks at the same time, handing over the captured wanted criminal to Link and going to Alabasta to stop Crocodile. Therefore, the Straw Hat Pirates are also divided into 2 groups. Luffy, Sanji, Usopp and others have gone to Alabasta to help Vivi stop Crocodile. Nami and Zoro stayed at Whiskey Peak, waiting for Link's arrival and the handover of the criminals. That's natural, so these 2 guys are Mr. 5, Miss Valentine. After comparing the wanted posters, Link readily paid the bounty to Nami. Thank you, Brother Link. You don't know how miserable Zoro and I are in Whiskey Mountain. We already finished all the food on the island yesterday. If you hadn't finally come, we wouldn't know what we would have done. As soon as she saw Link, Nami leaned next to Link and started to vomit her bitterness. It seemed that he was blaming that it was because of Link that he was living such a miserable life. However, the next moment, a beautiful goddess with short blue hair unknowingly took out a wallet from her body. Nami, although you are having a hard time, there is no need to steal Lord Link's wallet, right? Stealing the Navy's property is a serious crime. Be careful, I will arrest you. Sister. Why are you here? After seeing the appearance of the person clearly, Nami had a look of surprise on her face. As you can see, I'm a Marine now. Noa Chigao pointed to the Navy uniform on her body, smiled slightly and said, and my number is still Belmir's number. Do you want to join the Navy with me? I'm not interested, and what I said is true. If you don't believe me, you can ask Sauron, right? Nami turned away and snorted coldly. She was about to pull Zoro up and continue talking, but she saw Zoro looking at a man with narrowed eyes with a dull look on his face. Zoran, Zoran. Nami called Zoro tentatively a few more times, but there was still no response. Thinking of the way the other person looked at the man with narrowed eyes, an idea suddenly came to Nami's mind. Isn't Sauron's taste so unique? While Nami was thinking, Zoro said with surprise, Master, why are you here? Zoro was quite surprised by Koshiro's appearance. After all, he knew quite a bit about his teacher's character, high emotional intelligence. Koshiro likes peace and quiet, low EQ. Koshiro is a homebody who rarely goes out on weekdays, but now he saw his teacher at Whiskey Peak on the Grand Route. Could it be that the teacher missed him and was worried that he would not be doing well outside, so he came here to see him? Thinking of this, Zoro's eyes turned slightly red, as if tears were about to fall. Zoran, how are you doing recently? Looking at Zoro who was almost crying in front of him, Koshiro smiled and said hello, but then his eyes fell on the saber on Zoro's body, Wado Ichimonji to be precise. Ever since Kuina died, this little bastard Zoro has come to ask for this knife. At first, he thought that the other party was really talented and that sentence that led Kuina to become the world's greatest swordsman moved him. As a result, Koshiro himself entrusted Wado Ichimonji to the other party by some strange means. Originally this was nothing. Anyway, he usually stays at the dojo, and there is no chance to use the words of Hidayimo, but now he has accepted Dasuki as his disciple, but he hasn't given her the apprenticeship ceremony yet, and he doesn't have any good weapons. Isn't this a little unreasonable? Koshiro thought silently. Ever since Koshiro set his sights on the word Wado on Zoro, isn't this knife a good apprenticeship ceremony? Ahem, cough, cough, Zoro, our master and apprentice haven't seen each other for a long time. Do you want to have a few drinks together? Okay, master. Facing the master's invitation, Sauron chose to agree without hesitation. He picked up a barrel of wine and went to the room to drink with Koshiro. After drinking for 3 rounds, Koshiro suddenly coughed a few times when he saw Zoro looking happy and happy. Hearing Koshiro's cough, Zoro remembered the past. When he was a child, whenever his master coughed, it meant that he had something to talk to him about. Master, if you need any help, just tell me and I will never delay. Zoro said righteously. His master taught him so many sword skills. Now that the other party may want something from him, it is absolutely impossible for him to refuse. Zoran, you have grown up. Hearing Zoro's words, Koshiro showed a pleased expression. In that case, I will make it clear to you as a teacher, the master has just accepted Tashigi as his disciple, and has not given him the apprenticeship ceremony yet, so, I want you to give up the word Hadao to your junior sister Tashigi. How do you feel? Zoro. Chapter 94 Link, who told you to stand? You are listening at NovelFull.audio. In the end, Zoro still did not give Wado Ichimonji to Tashigi. This was also Tashigi's own wish. After hearing about Kuina's deeds, she thought that Wado Ichimonji should belong to the person who was more likely to reach the top of the world swordsman. She did not want to get it by giving it up, but after her strength could really defeat Zoro, she would own Wado Ichimonji as the stronger person. Zoro and Koshiro both chose to agree with Tashigi's idea. Zoro's idea was similar to Tashigi's. If he really couldn't beat Tashigi at that time, he would not be qualified to carry Kuina's will. Koshiro was lamenting that Tashigi not only looked like his daughter Kuina, but even her personality seemed to be carved out of the same mold. In short, under such an agreement, everyone began to implement a strict kendo training plan, at least 10 hours of training a day. Not only did no one complain of being tired, but they all complained that they were too lazy, in this environment of the king of roles. Even Link couldn't help but practice a few swordsmanship, but compared to the swordsmanship geniuses like Tashigi and Zoro, who are 1 in a million, although Link shared many of Link's talents, his talents can only be regarded as a small genius level, which is far from his physical talent, so, Link decisively gave up wasting all his time on swordsmanship and focused on protecting his own fat. During this period, Link had a phone call with Vivi to synchronize information. For some reason, Crocodile did not choose to send people to stop him like in the original book, as if he was completely unaware that the other party was rushing towards Alabasta. This led to Luffy and others' journey to Alabasta being quite smooth. The other party has successfully landed in Alabasta and began to investigate the evidence of Crocodile's crimes. Grand Line, although Link and others set off much later than Luffy and others, because the speed of the Navy warship was much faster than that of the Mary, they only had 1 day left to reach Alabasta, because they needed to be refreshed for the subsequent battles. The people on the ship who had been training crazily before took a rare break today and had a good sleep to refresh themselves. The task of keeping watch was naturally given to Link, who had been doing nothing in the past few days. And slept all day long. What a trouble. If I had known, I wouldn't have slept so hard in the past few days. Link was yawning and waving a wooden sword to kill time. At this moment, a strange ship suddenly entered the alert range of Link's observation hockey. Is there a ship approaching our Navy warship? There are a total of hundreds of people on that ship. The aura of the members on the ship is much stronger than that of ordinary people. 3 of them have reached the level of pirates with a bounty of tens of millions. Could it be that Crocodile didn't want us to reach Alabasta so easily, so he sent someone to kill us? Link showed a helpless expression on his face. This level of battle is simply bullying a child for him, and he really has no interest in it, and he didn't forget the useless persona he had to maintain. It just so happens that both Tashigi and Zoro have grown a lot recently, so let them practice. So, Link shouted towards the cabin, "Young men, get up, there is work to do. Mr. One Boss, Miss Two-Finger Boss, the dragon-headed warship in front is the ship of Colonel Link." On an ordinary ship, the crew excitedly reported to a bald strong man and a lady with an afro. The 2 of them are Mr. One Das Bonus, the chief commander of Baroque Works, and Miss Two-Finger Pola. Especially Mr. One Das Bonus, nicknamed Slasher, is said to be the nemesis of swordsmen. There are not 1,000 swordsmen who died in his hands, but hundreds, and there are many swordsmen with bounties of over 10 million. They are extremely powerful in the first half of the entire Grand Line. However, this is only limited to the first half of the Grand Line. Like their boss Crocodile, the two of them are not good at domineering, and it can even be said that they don't know the existence of domineering. Listen to me, you two, our goal this time is not to fight the opponent head-on, but to destroy the Navy warship. Nico Robin said solemnly. Unlike the ordinary Baroque works, which has almost blind trust in the two, Nico Robin still maintains absolute vigilance. She knows that there is a natural fruit ability user smoker on the ship, if Daz Bonus is an absolute expert in the first half of the Grand Line. Then the natural fruit ability user is a pure invincible existence in the first half of the Grand Line. The only way is to directly destroy their ship and let it fall into the sea, then their plan will be successful. Miss, is your plan a bit too cruel? I don't think we have offended you much. As soon as Robin finished speaking, a rather frivolous male voice came from behind her. The members of the Baroque workshop turned around and saw that a wooden sword was pressed against Robin's neck. They all looked in disbelief. How did this guy get to our ship? Is he a person with special abilities? But did he take the wrong sword? How could it be a wooden sword? Hearing the discussion of the members of the Baroque Works Club around him, Link said helplessly, shouldn't you worry about the safety of the hostage I held hostage now? If you want her to live, please surrender immediately, so that you can avoid some physical pain. Before Link finished speaking, Mr. One immediately interrupted him rudely with a cold voice, stop talking nonsense, you held her hostage, not me. As soon as the voice fell, Mr. One's body suddenly grew a series of blades emitting cold light and attacked Link. Die. Just relying on your toy wooden sword, you can't resist my ability. Mr. One's legs burst out with extreme strength, stepping on the iron deck of the ship to create a huge dent. The terrifying sharp energy continued to emanate from Mr. One's body like a tide, and his arms suddenly turned into a huge blade. Destroying slash. A series of radial slashes attacked Link. Faced with this extraordinary attack, Link just yawned and raised the wooden sword in his hand. You are looking for death, and you want to stop me with a wooden sword. Seeing Link's expression that he didn't take him seriously at all, Mr. One was furious, and the strength in his hand was even heavier than usual. The next moment, Mr. One's blade chopped Link's wooden sword firmly, making a harsh roar. However, what happened next was not what Mr. One imagined. The blade of his body easily cut through the wooden sword, and then pierced Link's chest. His concentrated and full-strength attack was easily blocked by Link with a wooden sword. Not bad, the power of your move just now is almost at the level of billion-level combat power. You can complete the upgrade in battle. It seems that you have some potential, but there is still a gap between you and the cheaters who have awakened the 1-stick Ryuo, 2-stick Tyrant, and 3-stick Fruit. Link commented casually, in the world of One Piece, it is not uncommon to break through in battle. As the saying goes, the more you are forced into a desperate situation, the more you can exert your strength, not to mention the protagonists of the original work, even Law and Kid have examples of breaking through in battle, so Mr. One's anger and short burst of billion-level combat power did not surprise Link anyway. For him, Mr. One's improvement is just the level of a weak ant turning into a strong ant. Okay, Mr. One, your fruit ability is a good whetstone, don't waste it. It's not me who will fight you next, they are approaching now. Whether I can get a promotion and a raise and become a Vice Admiral of the Navy headquarters depends on you. After a simple fight with Mr. One, Link waved his hand to indicate that he didn't want to continue fighting. Who told you to stand? You just stay where you are and wait for people to come. As Link's voice fell, the next moment, a terrifying aura like a mountain suddenly erupted from his body. Although Link's tone was not heavy and his voice was very small, everyone present felt a huge pressure being exerted on their hearts. Many members of Baroque Works felt that their spirits seemed to have suffered a huge impact, and they immediately foamed at the mouth and lost consciousness, and they were just on the edge of Link's domineering, and Mr. One was at the center of his domineering at this moment. What kind of move is this? Mr. One was gritting his teeth at this moment, trying to support his knees from kneeling down. He didn't understand what Link had done, he just felt as if a huge force was pressing on him, making him unable to straighten his back. And this force seemed to be increasing continuously. Puff. The next moment, blood spurted out of Mr. One's knees, and he finally couldn't resist Link's domineering aura and knelt down completely. That's right. Seeing Mr. One's performance, Link smiled with satisfaction. Mr. One's fruit ability is a very good tool for kendo quality inspection. In short, the swordsman who can cut off Mr. One's body has entered the level of a swordsman. This can be regarded as an opportunity to test Zoro's recent training. As for Tashigi, admittedly, her strength has improved a lot, but her foundation is still a little poor. So it is more appropriate to use Mrs. Fingers, Link was thinking, and soon he saw the anger in Mr. One's eyes again. I couldn't help but think to myself, did I go too far? If Mr. One is asked to be Zoro's sparring partner, he shouldn't be so angry that his strength rises to another level, right? If that's the case, Zoro will be a real unlucky guy. Chapter 95 Link, I was just teasing you. You don't really think you don't have to die, do you? You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Mr. One's arm turned into a sharp blade and he looked at the green algae head in front of him with murderous eyes. In his mind, he was recalling the scene that had just happened. Just now, Link made everyone on the ship lose their fighting power with just his momentum. Then it was obvious that the difference in strength between him and Link was probably greater than the difference in strength between an ant and a tiger. Originally, Mr. One thought that he would be killed directly by Link, but the other party gave him a chance to leave. As long as he defeated a swordsman he sent, he could leave here. Mr. One understood what the other party wanted to do. His fruit ability is the best test tool for swordsmen. As long as he can break through his defense, it is equivalent to breaking through to the level of swordsman. According to the bounty, it is basically a strength of about 100 million. Do you want to use me as a whetstone? I can't beat Link, that monster. Can I beat a mere ordinary swordsman? Mr. One was angry and had to vent it on the green algae head in front of him. What is this guy doing? Why is he looking at me like that? Zoro looked at Mr. One, who looked like he was going to eat him, and couldn't help but mutter in his heart. However, the opponent's strength should be good. Neither Link nor the master seemed to think that I could defeat him. If you can't beat him, you can surrender. At most, I can practice for a few more years. Humph. This clumsy provocation is a bit too much of an underestimation of me. Betting on the dignity of a swordsman, I will definitely win this time. After the enlightenment, after the encounter with East China Sea and Hawkeye and so many days of practice, Zoro's strength, speed, and even swordsmanship have been improved. Even if the opponent's fruit ability may have a considerable restraint on the swordsman, he still thinks he can do it. Then use that move to kill him. Zoro showed a determined look. After the battle with Hawkeye, he understood the gap between himself and the world's top swordsman. It turned out that he had been sitting in a well and watching the world, so, after that battle, he had a direction to move forward again. In addition to basic training every day, he also optimized his various moves. Now his strongest three-sword style move has become even stronger. The two swords in Zoro's hands began to spin like a windmill. Everyone present could feel a hurricane, and at the same time, Zoro's sword shadow seemed to escape into the wind. The secret of the three-sword style, 3,000 worlds. The next moment, three sword lights passed through the air and chopped Mr. One firmly, but Mr. One's body did not move at all. Zoro looked at Mr. One in shock, and then he exerted force again as if he did not believe in evil, but the three swords in his hands still could not break the opponent's defense. Did this stupid boy forget what I taught him before? Koshiro looked at this scene with a helpless look on his face. Mr. One is a person with the ability to eat the quick-cut fruit, and can turn any part of his body into a blade according to his will. In other words, the opponent's body is as hard as steel. Unless the power reaches a terrifying level, it is impossible to break the opponent's defense with brute force alone. Unless Zoro has comprehended the breadth of all things, there is no way he can break Mr. One's defense. Link nodded and agreed. This breadth of all things is the sign that the swordsman has entered the cutting iron stage, and it is also the key point why swordsmen are listed as T0 professions with a higher performance than snipers and ordinary fighters in the pirate world. In this world, stones have the breath of stones, flames have the breath of flames, and iron has the breath of iron. As long as the swordsman can master the breath of all things, then this swordsman is theoretically in a state where nothing can be cut. In terms of destructive power alone, no other profession can match it. In the original work, Zoro was able to break Kaido's defense without comprehending the entanglement of the domineering color. Relying only on his swordsmanship, the blessing of the armed color domineering and the famous sword, the strength of this breath of all things can be seen. The reason why Link asked Zoro to face Mr. One was that he hoped that he could comprehend this ability as soon as possible. Only in this way can Zoro's strength be regarded as entering the stage of swordsmanship. From then on, Koshiro will begin to teach Zoro how to use armament haki. You're done attacking. Then it's my turn. Unlike Zoro's face full of shock, Mr. One's face did not show any emotional fluctuations about the development of this matter. In his career as a killer, he has seen too many swordsmen show such an expression when they cut him with swords. It is precisely because of this that Mr. One compares himself to the nemesis of swordsmen. I can feel that you are a very powerful swordsman, but I have to say that you can only stop here. Mr. One spoke slowly, dust-cutting speed knife. Mr. One's saws turned into blades and slid forward like skates. Then his fingers turned into blades and slashed toward Zoro. Because his physique is equivalent to steel, Mr. One's fighting style is completely equivalent to that of a berserker, and he can attack Zoro without leaving any spare energy. Facing Zoro's slash, Mr. One didn't even blink, and let Zoro's sword cut into him, making a sound of metal clashing, and his hand knife cut through Zoro's flesh and blood, and a large area of blood splashed. Are you going to lose? Every time he swung his knife, Zoro's heart fell to the bottom of the valley. His slashing could not cut through the defense of the person in front of him. Can he become the world's strongest swordsman? Zoro! Do you still remember what your teacher once said about a kind of swordsman in the world who can cut everything, but can't cut anything? That at this moment, Koshiro suddenly shouted to Zoro from the side. Teacher! That it was these words that reminded Zoro of the teachings he had received that afternoon when he practiced kendo with Koshiro. In the process of his own blood constantly flowing out, Zoro did not feel dizzy like ordinary people because of excessive blood loss. On the contrary, his perception of the surrounding things has been further improved. When he was a child, he heard that there was a kind of swordsman in the world who could cut steel and didn't believe it at all, so he went to Koshiro to ask if it was true. At that time, Koshiro gave him a positive answer, and took out a piece of paper and swung his sword to cut it, but the paper was unscathed. Originally, Zoro thought that his master was just playing tricks, but Koshiro's next words made him realize something. The so-called strongest sword is to protect what you want to protect and cut off the power of what you want to cut off. Thinking of this, Zoro suddenly closed his eyes. Did you dare to close your eyes in the battle with me? Mr. One didn't know what Zoro was thinking at the moment. He only knew that only if he defeated Zoro this time would he have the opportunity to go back and serve that adult. Spiral slash. Ikidori Iae Shishich. The figures of both sides flashed by each other alternately. Puff. The next moment, a large amount of blood spurted out of their bodies. In the end, Zoro fell to the ground first. The previous battle had already caused him to be extremely injured. Mr. One's last blow was directly slashed at his old wound. Even if he was an Iron Man, he couldn't stand so much blood. I won. Mr. One spat out a mouthful of blood, and his breathing rhythm was much more chaotic than before. However, even though his condition was so bad, his face was full of joy. Congratulations, Mr. One. Link clapped his hands to celebrate for Mr. One. At this moment, Mr. One had no time to care about Link, but focused on the battle between Tashigi and his partner Miss Two Fingers. Unlike Zoro, who fought with him almost to the last moment, the battle between Tashigi and Miss Two Fingers was one-sided. After only a few dozen moves, Miss Two Fingers was defeated by Tashigi and finally killed by Link. It's a pity that the fruit was not extracted. It seems that this method is not 100% effective. Link looked at the ordinary fruit in his hand and muttered to himself. After confirming that there was a setting in the pirate world that the devil fruit could be reborn nearby, Link had the habit of carrying ordinary fruits with him. However, if this method is not supported by special means, it only increases the success rate of obtaining the devil fruit, not 100%. In Link's impression, the only person who can 100% successfully plunder the fruit ability of the ability user seems to be Blackbeard, who obtained the dark fruit. But that seems to be due to the special nature of the dark fruit, rather than some ordinary means that can be copied in batches. The opponent's dark fruit seems to have the ability to absorb everything, including bullets, blades, attacks, flames and lightning, as well as any physical or energy attacks. Among them, it even includes the ability to invalidate the rest of the devil fruits after close contact. In particular, the dark fruit and Anika fruit are the only two fruits in the original book that have the host's choice. For such a special fruit, it is not surprising to add a setting that can completely take out the power of the devil fruit. Then I'm leaving. Mr. One looked at Link with a vigilant look. Link waved his hand and looked indifferent, and it seemed that he really had no desire to take action. Seeing the other party like this, Mr. One relaxed a little, jumped onto a small boat immediately, and without caring about anything else, he took the oar and sailed quickly towards the distance. Are you sure you want to let him go? Koshiro looked at Link with a puzzled look and asked. I am a man of integrity, so I will naturally let him go, but I never said that Smoker can't chase him. Link didn't continue, but gave Smoker beside him a look. Smoker immediately understood what Link meant, and his face turned black and he exhaled a puff of smoke. I'll take care of it. The next moment, he turned into a ball of smoke and chased in the direction where Mr. One left, and Link then turned his head to look at the trembling Robin, showing a gentle smile. Miss, I have something to talk to you about. Chapter 96, Reaching a Consensus on Cooperation with Robin. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Of course, those who can row a boat cannot run as well as those who can fly. In addition, Mr. One does not know how to use armament hockey at all, and his attacks cannot cause any damage to Smoker, the natural fruit ability user. After a while, Smoker flew back. When Smoker brought Mr. One's body over, the face of the black-skinned royal sister Robin was filled with resignation and calmness. Her strength is not as good as Mr. One, so there is no possibility of escape. Mom, everyone, can we finally go? See you. Robin's face was filled with indescribable calm. After hiding around the world for so many years, Robin thought he was quite precious about his life, but when she actually faced death, she felt inexplicably calm, as if she had known there would be such a result. If you want to kill me, then do it quickly. Robin slowly closed his eyes, and tears flowed down his face. However, the butcher's knife she expected did not fall as she imagined. Instead, Link released the handcuffs. Are you Miss All Sunday? Link took the initiative to chat with Robin. At the same time, he waved his hand and asked the rest of the people present to leave, giving them a space to be alone. Link's behavior also surprised her, because Link acted like a cold guy before. Whether it was Mr. One or Miss Two Fingers, he was able to deal with them. Such a person could still find her to talk to. Could it be that he wanted to squeeze out the remaining value of her before she died? Robin suddenly thought of what Link had told Mr. One earlier: if the other party defeated the green algae head, then he will let Mr. One leave. In the end, he did let go, but Smoker next to him took action. So do you need me to help you with anything? Robin asked calmly. If she guessed correctly, the reason why Link didn't kill her meant that she must have something that the other party needed. But she doesn't want to die just yet. Even if it means dying a little later, it would be better. Give you a chance to live. Are you willing to do it? Link asked Robin straight to the point. It's this kind of talk again. Haven't you said similar words to Mr. One? Robin smiled helplessly. I do. Even if he knew that the other party was a guy who broke his promises, Robin could only answer like this. She must see the text of history with her own eyes before she dies. You agreed so quickly. Hearing Robin's decisive answer, even Link was a little surprised. Maybe my charm has reached the point where the other party can nod in agreement without even saying anything. Sir Link, I still want to live. In order to survive, I am willing to pay any price. Robin said decisively. The reason why she was able to live like a rat in the gutter for so long was partly due to her mother's wish, but also her desire for real history was her motivation to live. Now she is only one step away from the text of Alabasta's history. Of course she doesn't want to die. Okay, I'm just waiting for your words. If I remember correctly, you should be Crocodile's secretary, right? With that guy's cautious personality, he should even have conversations with his subordinates through you, right? In this case, you should have a lot of Crocodile's criminal evidence in your hands. I hope you can hand over this evidence to me. Link said slowly. I have to admit that Crocodile is indeed cautious enough. Not only would he rarely appear in public in front of agents, but he would also avoid using any written documents that might reveal his special accent or font, instead letting Robin convey it orally. The result of this is that Crocodile did almost perfectly hide his identity from the internal members of the Baroque Working Society, but the price is that everything Crocodile has done is recorded here. As long as Robin chooses to betray, everything Crocodile does will fall into Link's hands. Are you asking me to betray you again? Robin laughed at himself, and then continued, Sir Link, I can give you the evidence of Crocodile's crime, but in order to ensure that you will not kill me like you used Mr. One, I am only willing to hand over the criminal evidence to you after I have completed what I want to do. Robin simply does not believe in the choice given by Link. The example of Mr. One is the best proof. As for Robin's request, Link didn't seem to feel any surprise. A Robin who has been struggling in the dark world for so many years is not a fool. Whatever you say, you believe. Miss All Sunday, it seems that you are also a smart person, but your conditions are not easy to handle. Robin was relieved when Link expressed his desire to talk. As long as you don't get angry and kill yourself directly, it means there is still room for maneuver. Sir Link, I am also willing to serve as an undercover agent to hinder Crocodile's plan to steal the country. Robin revealed his bargaining chip. Link narrowed his eyes, and an oppressive aura locked onto Robin. Oh. But this time your operation was a big failure. Will your boss never suspect you of betrayal? If you guessed it correctly, Mr. One and Miss Two Fingers should be considered the top combat power of your criminal company, right? Robin swallowed. Yes. It is undeniable that the big failure of this operation will definitely make the boss doubt me. But he couldn't bear the cost of doubting me, so he had no choice but to believe me. Not to mention that she had Crocodile's criminal evidence. She is the most important part in the implementation of Crocodile's plan. His plan was never just to steal the country, but to obtain Hades by translating the historical text of Alabasta's underground. If you want to translate historical text, Robin's ability is naturally indispensable. This is why Robin said that even if Crocodile doubted her, he could only choose to believe it. After all, if he doesn't believe in Robin, then he will never get Hades. It was like an economic fraud. I had already foreseen that it was a scam, but all the money had already been spent. If you can't continue to invest bravely, all the previous investments will be in vain. Link nodded, acknowledging Robin's words. He then asked, so what is it that you must accomplish? Robin, Sir Link, forgive me for not telling you this purpose. It's my secret. It is an unspeakable taboo for the world government, the navy, the historical texts and the three ancient weapons. If she dared to say that she was looking for the historical text, wouldn't she be directly punished by Link? However, what she didn't expect at all was that the next moment Link said in an extremely calm tone, Miss Robin, if I guess correctly, the goal you mentioned is to obtain the historical text of Alabasta, right? What? Do you know my identity and my purpose? Robin's pupils tightened. She had no idea that her identity had been exposed. It was obvious that the other party had been calling her Miss All Sunday before, but now the other party suddenly called her by her real name. This means that all of his plans are part of Link's plan. But that's not right. Link is a Marine. From the Navy's standpoint, now that they know her identity and purpose, shouldn't they kill her as soon as possible to protect history from being discovered? Wrong. Could it be that his purpose is actually the same as Crocodile? He also wants to get the power of Pluto. A white light seemed to suddenly flash in Robin's mind. The next moment, she looked at Link with an expression full of vigilance. In her eyes, Link has changed from a cold-hearted naval captain to an ambitious man no less than Crocodile. Your identity is not difficult to find, and your purpose is not difficult to guess. I am not interested in the position of Hades, so I can agree to your conditions. Link said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Robin immediately rolled his eyes at Link, not interested in the location of Pluto. Crocodile also said that he does not bear grudge against Whitebeard. Can she believe this? Well, it seems she can only choose to believe it. Yes, my purpose is the historical text. Robin took a deep breath and said, so, Sir Link, what do you want me to do for you? Link showed an amiable smile. Actually, it's not a big deal, it's just that the number of agents in your Baroque working society is a bit too many and they are too secretive. I hope you can come forward and bring them together. I have a gift for them. Link's secret conversation with Robin in the room didn't last long. In the end, Robin agreed to Link's request. After the two parties reached a friendly agreement, Link personally sent a small boat to the other party to help him leave. Colonel Link, you just let her go like this? You shouldn't have made some dirty deal with her, right? Smoker smoked 3 large cigarettes and watched Robin, who had 8 arms rowing rapidly, gradually move away. He couldn't help but reveal a black look on his face. What kind of dirty deal? Be careful, I sue you for libel. I'm a clean and good Navy man. I don't smoke or drink. I exercise every day. Naturally, I do clean business. How about you think of a way to gather all the members of the Baroque Working Society hiding in Alabasta? Or do you want to see a civil war in Alabasta? Link rolled his eyes at Smoker and said, today's Alabasta is divided because Crocodile sent Mr. 2 to pretend to be the king and use dancing powder. Some of them are the king's army who are still loyal to the king, and some are rebels, and the members of the Baroque Working Society, both from the Royal Army and the Rebel Army, were mixed in. It's like after water enters the sea, there is no way to find it, compared with killing these members of the Baroque Work Club. What is more difficult is to find their traces. Link now asks Robin to summon the members of the Baroque Working Society, also wanting to solve them all at once. Chapter 97 Crocodile, I believe Robin will not betray me. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. At night, the edge of the Alabasta Sea, the Navy ship slowly docked. Link also once again had a conversation with Wei Wei and others at this moment, synchronizing the information of both parties, even without Nami's illness. After hearing about the superb medical skills of the doctors from the Drum Country, the Straw Hat still visited the Drum Country and conquered Chopper. At the same time, after landing in Alabasta, Luffy and the others met Ace just like in the original work. Luffy naturally remembered Link's advice, so he told Ace what Link had said to him. So, you successfully convinced Ace? Link asked with a surprised look on his face. Brother Link, Ace is not the kind of person who listens to others' advice. I can't beat him, so I can only ask someone who can beat him to come and treat him. Luffy chuckled, I contacted Grandpa Garp through the phone number left by your phone bug and asked him to bring Ace back. What? Lieutenant General Garp is so free that he is willing to come over and take care of this? Link's expression became a little strange. I didn't expect that Luffy, a guy with thick eyebrows and big eyes, would have such a scheming mind, but think about it, Wong Luffy in the early days has always been a wise and foolish person. It was only later that he became stronger and his muscles became bigger. And then he gradually became a hot-blooded idiot in the true sense. Therefore, men still cannot practice too much, otherwise their brains may not work well. Brother Link, this is mainly due to you. Grandpa Garp trusts your judgment. After I explained to Grandpa Garp that this was your request to me, Grandpa Garp said that Brother Link, you are insidious and cunning. If you say this, you must have a reason. Then he set off in person and captured Ace. Link. Although Luffy did a good job in this matter, and it did develop in the direction he expected, but the description of this sinister and cunning thing is a bit inappropriate. Normally, shouldn't it be described as resourceful? Is my image in their minds so bad? He is a kind marine, and the reason why he asked Luffy to stop Ace was to prevent the subsequent incident on top from causing chaos in the entire world. It's definitely not for any reason. Link later wants to use the Straw Hat Pirates to add merit to himself. Forget it, as long as the mission is completed successfully. Where are you planning to go now? Link, with a dark face, decided to give up on delving into the issue and turned around to ask Luffy about his next plan. As a result, Wei Wei answered the phone the next moment. Wei Wei, next, we will split into 2 groups. I will go and explain to my father that Crocodile is the mastermind behind Baroque Works. Luffy and the others wanted to defeat Crocodile directly. Link, then do they know where Crocodile is? Wei Wei was stunned when she heard this, and then said with some embarrassment, I don't know, but it should be near his territory, Yudi. Wei Wei knew that her and Luffy's plan was somewhat premature, but the conditions for knowing it were too few. Except for Crocodile, who was already on the bright side, she didn't know the whereabouts of the rest of the Baroque Working Society members, so she could only choose this method to save the national team. Link thought for a moment and said, your plan is not bad. Wei Wei's eyes lit up, so, let's just execute it according to the original plan. Link shook his head. No, what you have to do now is to join us, because I have successfully instigated the other party's vice president. When the time comes, she will cooperate with us to take the lead in gathering the members of the Baroque Working Society. Then we can catch them all in one fell swoop. What? Hearing Link's words, Wei Wei suddenly showed a look of shock. According to her previous undercover experience in the Baroque Working Group, Crocodile was not personally involved in all matters of the Baroque Working Group. It was the vice president named Miss All Sunday who arranged it. That also shows that Crocodile trusts Miss All Sunday very much. But now Colonel Link actually told her that he had successfully plotted against the vice president. That means that the success rate of their subsequent plans will increase several times. They, Alabasta, are finally saved. The next morning, it rained. Robin brought the information to Crocodile that Mr. One and Mississippi had their fingers killed by each other. At the same time, she also followed Link's request and extremely exaggerated Smoker's combat power. Boss, our operation failed this time. Both fingers of Mr. One and Mississippi have been killed by that Smoker. The other party is also a nature-type fruit ability user like you, and it is said that he is also the top student in the Navy headquarters. At the beginning, the Navy was training him as the next top 3 future. It's a pity that due to his own character problems, he was sent to the East China Sea. In my estimation, this person's combat power may not be lower than your boss. After hearing Robin's words and analysis, Crocodile did not respond immediately. Instead, he cast his cold eyes on Robin. Robin, if Smoker is so strong, why can you escape from him? Crocodile's plain tone was full of invisible oppression. It was as if Robin didn't answer well, he would cut Robin into pieces the next second. Facing Crocodile's cold questioning, Robin not only did not feel scared, but instead squeezed out a few tears. That's all because of the help of Mr. One and Mississippi. They resisted the Navy at the risk of their own death and bought me time, hoping that I would bring this news back to you. After a moment of silence, Crocodile nodded, agreeing with Robin's statement. Or maybe he vaguely felt something was wrong, but he didn't want to think about it. After all, if Robin really betrayed him, then his dream of Hades would be shattered. Well, it seems that I still underestimated the Navy. I didn't expect that even Mr. One would be included. Crocodile rubbed his eyebrows. This series of events made him feel physically and mentally exhausted. You must know that Mr. One is his favorite general who helped him do a lot of dirty work, but now he is lost to the Navy, and that group of Navy has probably arrived in Alabasta. There isn't much time left for him now, so he must act quickly. Otherwise Crocodile would feel that he might never have a chance to act again. Although Mr. One's operation failed. Fortunately, my operation went smoothly and I successfully captured the old guy Cobra from the palace. It's a pity that the old guy Cobra's bones are a bit too hard, and the torture team has been torturing him for most of the day. As a result, he was stunned and didn't speak. Okay, Robin, send an order to the senior agents of Baroque Works and ask them all to arrest Wei Wei together. Even if they encounter the Straw Hat Boys, they will kill them without mercy. I want to see if Wei Wei is tortured in front of that old guy, and whether that old guy will open his mouth to me. There are also those low-level agents of Baroque Works. You can arrange it yourself. Mobilize tonight, let them pretend to be the King's army and the rebel army tomorrow, and stir up civil strife as soon as possible. This will also prevent the Navy from coming to harass us. Crocodile said viciously. His original plan was to stir up war within the kingdom of Alabasta through the operation of dancing fans, thereby subtly eliminating the majesty of the king. Then he himself ruled the kingdom of Alabasta in the name of a great hero. In this way, not only can he maintain his title of King Shichibukai, secretly, he also has enough time to slowly search for Hades without worrying about being discovered by outsiders. But now his plan has been completely disrupted. The Black Gloves of the Straw Hat Pirates, a member of the Navy, contacted Princess Vivi to get the Navy involved. Nowadays, there is a high probability that his plan to steal the country will be basically impossible to carry out, and the Navy will definitely not ignore it. It would be impossible for Crocodile to say that he was not disappointed at all, but fortunately, their core demands have not been exposed, so he still has the possibility of success. As long as I get Pluto, I will have the power to rule the world. Even if I can't get Alabasta, I can still get other countries with the power of Pluto. Crocodile raised the flag confidently, the strong always dare to make judgments. His improvised plan was too hasty, and the success rate of this plan was not low. According to Crocodile, the success rate of both parts of the plan is over 90%. With the combined strength of all the senior agents, it would not be difficult to deal with a pirate group with only a few people from the East China Sea and to capture a helpless Weiwei. As long as Weiwei is captured, it won't be difficult to get that old cobra to reveal the location of the historical text. As for letting low-level agents provoke civil strife between the royal army and the rebels, that is extremely simple. The public sentiment across Alabasta is now no different than a powder keg. It only takes a little spark to completely detonate these powder barrels. Okay, boss. I'll do it right away. After learning the next plan from Crocodile, Robin respectfully withdrew and began to use the phone bug to contact all parties. Mr. 2, you need to follow your partner over to this side of the rainy land tomorrow morning. The boss has something to ask you. Elder Billions, please ask your agents to gather here tonight. I have something to tell you. Robin kept making phone calls, transmitting Crocodile's orders to the agents below. Seeing this, Crocodile also nodded slightly. He had actually been worried about whether Robin would betray him before, but when he thought that since the other party was the Navy, it would be too late for Robin to run away, let alone defect to the Navy. And now the other party is faithfully executing his orders, which also shows that Robin has not betrayed. However, what he didn't know was that there was a small phone bug stuffed in Robin's chest that was always on the phone. Chapter 98 Link, is this the value of the monkey spell magic? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Everyone knows about Crocodile's plan. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Yudi, an ordinary hotel, Link and others, who had already changed into local clothes, carefully looked at the information that had been compiled in front of them. Following Link's instructions, Robin had induced Crocodile to start taking action in advance. Crocodile's plan of action was divided into two parts. One is the operation to capture Weiwei carried out by senior agents, and the other is the disruption plan carried out by low-level agents, among them, the place where senior agents discussed the plan was the Yuyan Casino, their home base directly located in Crocodile. The mobilization place for the low-level agents was set up by Robin in an abandoned warehouse. In this regard, Smoker specially asked his navy to conduct surveys in the two places, and asked them to plant bombs at the meeting point. As a naval officer, Smoker believed from beginning to end that the life of the navy was more important than the lives of these conspirators. He hoped to capture this Baroque society without losing a single soldier. Among them, the abandoned warehouse where the low-level agents gathered was well arranged, and there was no obstacle to the bomb placement, but senior agents gathered at Yuyan, the most luxurious casino in the entire Alabasta region, and it was not a place you could just enter if you wanted to, especially the inner area of Yuyan. So what else can we do? Since we can't get in anyway, we might as well just knock on the door. Smoker still had the same fierce expression. Colonel Smoker, what you said is wrong. The so-called battle is to use all means to win. The power of Link's bullets is not bad, and that guy Crocodile is a crispy mage who focuses on his own fruit ability. Even if the opponent reacts, there is a high probability that he will be injured if he uses elemental protection. Does Colonel Smoker want to fight the intact Crocodile or the injured Crocodile? After hearing Link's words of persuasion, Smoker coughed a few times and did not answer, but everyone present knew what Smoker meant. After all, no one likes to be completely tortured. But the problem now is that we have no way to enter Yuyan to plant bombs. Smoker snorted coldly and continued, even the outermost gambling area of Yuyan requires at least 10 million belly gambling funds to enter. Can you come up with this amount of money? That their navy is not short of money, at least not in his rogue town or Link's 153 RD branch, but that doesn't mean they have that much money on them. Every time they carry out a mission, they will only carry a few million Baileys with them at most, and they cannot even enter the outermost casino of Yuyan. Who said you have to have enough money to get in? Since ancient times, pornography, gambling, and drug abuse have always been indiscriminate. If a penniless but outstanding beauty wants to enter Yuyan, I think the security guards at Yuyan will not refuse, Link said calmly. No. I will never allow my subordinates to betray their lust. Before Link could finish what he said, Smoker said with a righteous look, whether it's Dusky or Nami, they are not strong enough. Letting them enter the rain banquet to lay out bombs is not sending sheep in wolf's mouth. If you want to go, let me go. You're right, Colonel Smoker. Link looked at Smoker with respect. In that case, I'll leave the infiltration work to you. Smoker, huh? Colonel Link, even if Colonel Smoker wants to sneak in on our behalf, there is nothing he can do. After all, Captain Smoker is so mature. Dasky on the side looked at Smoker up and down and then said, she couldn't see traces of women on Smoker's body. If you force disguise, you can only get an image similar to a muscular girl, which is far from the required image of a beautiful woman. You don't have to worry about that, I'll find a way. Link's face was full of smile. I just don't know if what Colonel Smoker just said is serious. Of course I take it seriously. Smoker, never tell lies. Although he was quite repulsed by disguising himself as a woman and sneaking into the rain banquet, Smoker still insisted on his statement. In his opinion, Link probably had some makeup tricks to disguise him as a woman, but Smoker is very confident in his own foundation, and his appearance is too masculine. No matter how much makeup you put on, it will definitely not meet the standards of the mission, so naturally there is no need to perform the mission. Colonel Smoker, you said this yourself, so don't blame me for taking action. Hearing Link's extremely gentle tone, Smoker's pupils suddenly shrank and his body trembled. Whenever this hateful Link wanted to trick him, he would speak in this tone. Colonel Smoker, I actually possess a kind of magic that can turn you into a woman and help you sneak into the rain feast. You are the most powerful among us, and only you can enter the rain feast and keep yourself safe. Link said with great solemnity. What? You can also turn me into a woman. Is there really evil ability in the world? Hearing this, Smoker suddenly had goosebumps all over his body. He couldn't imagine what it would be like to become a woman. Well, I have to say that there is. Although the magical ability he is talking about is actually the transformation magic corresponding to the Link monkey charm in Shenlong's adventure and does not belong to this world, it does not mean that there are no ways to turn men into women in the pirate world. At least Link knew that there were two. One was the hormone fruit of the demon king Ivankov, and the other was that Blackbeard's men had mastered the poison of the disease fruit. In that case, Colonel Smoker, let us begin. Link looked at Smoker with admiration. And Dasky and other women also cast grateful glances at Smoker. Colonel Smoker actually sacrificed his life and turned into a woman in order to protect his men. This is simply great. Okay. Feeling the grateful gazes of the women present, Smoker could only swallow back the rejection he was about to say. Then he followed Link's request and lay down on the bed. Wait a minute, Link, your magic shouldn't have any side effects, right? Smoker asked nervously while lying on the bed. This was the first time he had accepted so-called magic, and he felt like a mouse who knew he would be used as a test subject later. Colonel Smoker, you don't have to believe in my character, but you must believe in my magic level. I have used this magic countless times, and there has never been a mistake, so you can rest assured. Link wanted to speak so confidently. This is the magic mastered by their good brother Shenlong and Link, and there is absolutely no room for questioning. Of course, Link was actually murmuring in his heart, after all, in the pirate world, the ability of magic will be suppressed to a certain extent. In the world of Shenlong's adventures, there will definitely be no problem with this transformation magic, but in the world of One Piece, even Link himself doesn't know whether this magic can be as successful as in the world of Shenlong's adventures. Anyway, you'll know after you try it. Link's eyes were a little wandering. Seeing Link's reaction like this, Smoker suddenly felt an ominous premonition. If you don't succeed, I will definitely make you pay the price. Smoker glared at Link fiercely, then closed his eyes as if accepting his fate. Just relax. Link comforted. A shadow of a monkey flashed across his eyes, a gentle light emitted from his palm and slowly covered Smoker's body. The next moment, Smoker's figure began to change. His hair began to grow longer, his waist began to become thinner, and his chest began to become more exaggerated. In just 5 minutes, Smoker had turned into a white-haired beauty. Have I really become a woman? Smoker slowly sat up and looked at himself in the mirror in disbelief. At the same time, not only his appearance, but also his voice had changed into a female voice. Colonel Smoker, you look so beautiful now. Dasky on the side looked at Smoker with some envy. His lustrous silver hair was so eye-catching. I have to thank you for the compliment. Smoker's face darkened. Originally, his subordinates would feel scared when they saw his appearance, but with his current face, his subordinates not only did not feel scared, but their eyes lit up, looking very excited. Okay, Smoker. In my impression, you are not such a fussy person. You'd better complete the task as soon as possible. This magic has a time limit. Link said as he patted Smoker on the shoulder. After hearing this, Smoker glared at Link fiercely again, but what he had to admit was that now he did have the opportunity to enter the rain feast and plant a bomb, and then give Crocodile a fatal blow. I understand, go right away, Smoker said coldly. After changing into cool clothes at the hotel, he went to the rain banquet and did not return until night, perhaps because his appearance after transformation was really outstanding. Yuyan's security did not stop him in any way. As a result, Smoker was able to plant bombs everywhere in Yuyan without any hindrance. These planted bombs are special small bombs studied by Link. Although it is small in size, its explosive power is not low at all. Even if Crocodile detects the explosion immediately, he can still be injured. At the same time, the message Robin sent him also stated in advance that they would temporarily clear the rain banquet when hosting a gathering of senior agents. Now they don't need to worry about the bombs harming civilians in Alabasta. Next, all they need to do is wait for the arrival of the group of senior agents, and then throw a little spark into it. Chapter 99 Crocodile, you guys are a bunch of unethical people. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Rainland, Rain Banquet. This is the largest and most luxurious casino in the desert country of Alabasta. Normally this place should be crowded, but today the whole Rain Banquet seems quiet, and there is no gambler, because today is the first day for the senior agents of Baroque Works to meet collectively. Mr. 2 Fenkeli, the ability user of the imitation fruit, Mr. 3 Gardino, the ability user of the wax fruit, and other senior agents gathered together. I heard that this time Mr. Zero will finally show up and personally lead the operation in Alabasta. By then, maybe we can get a noble to be the boss, Mr. 3 said with joy. They, Baroque Works, have been preparing for this huge business of stealing the country for many years, spending countless money and energy. Until today, it is finally the day of harvest. How can Mr. 3 not be happy? After finishing this job, he will become a luxurious noble and can finally enjoy a good life every day. I'm more curious about who our boss is. Mr. 4 Bibu said while touching the gun of a dachshund next to him. This is a gun that has eaten the dog fruit in the form of a dachshund, named Reizu. His usual combat mode is to let Reizu spit out the bomb, and then he hits it with a baseball bat. The explosive power is even stronger than Mr. 5's explosive fruit. Please, everyone, can you have a sense of crisis? Don't you find any problems? Didn't you find that someone is missing in this operation? Mississippi Christmas, a short and fat old woman, looked around and said impatiently. Not only did Mr. 5 and his partner not come to this senior agent gathering, but Mr. 1 and Mississippi Double Fingers did not come. It can be seen that the current situation is not very good. All the agents present knew that Mr. 1 was the absolute confidant of their boss, and there was no reason for Mr. 1 not to participate in such an important gathering. But since the other party did not show up, it means that the other party may have died outside. Even Mr. 1 failed. A drop of cold sweat flowed down Mr. 3's forehead. The ranking of Baroque Works agents is based on strength, and Mr. 1 is naturally the strongest among them, but even the bald man seems to have failed at this moment. That means the enemy's strength is stronger than they imagined. Hearing this, the senior agents present were silent. The reason why everyone present chose to join Baroque Works was to make money, but if they lose their lives, it would be a big loss. Ha ha ha. It seems that everyone still doesn't trust our plan. However, what I want to say is that this action will definitely succeed. Everyone present will have a noble seat in the future. Just as the senior agents were thinking about the future, a cold and arrogant voice came from behind them. The agents looked over with the voice, and then they all showed shock. Crocodile. Our boss is the legendary Shichibukai. The moment they saw Crocodile, all the senior agents present were stunned for a moment, and then burst into ecstasy. The Shichibukai turned out to be their boss, so there was basically no need to consider the success of the next action. In the first half of this grand line, wouldn't the Shichibukai be able to walk sideways? The moment they saw Crocodile appear, they could already start thinking about what their noble titles would be at that time. It's stable now. Mr. 3 just finished shouting this sentence, and suddenly he felt an inexplicable sense of crisis, bang bang bang. The next moment, a terrifying explosion came from all over Yuyen, and the ruthless flames instantly engulfed it. No. As a battle-hardened agent, Mr. 3 reacted immediately and immediately activated his ability to protect himself. However, his wax fruit itself was restrained by the flames and would burn through and melt in just a moment. Just when he was desperate, a barrier made of sand instantly blocked most of the explosion. Boss Crocodile. Seeing the sand barrier surrounding him, Mr. 3 instantly realized that it was his boss who protected him. The full sense of security made his eyes wet. Boss Crocodile, you will be my boss for life from now on. Stop talking nonsense. Crocodile looked around with murderous intent. The reason why he took action to protect these men was mainly because he couldn't do without these guys if he wanted to implement his plan. But now he is more concerned about what happened to Yuyen's explosion. Could it be that someone among them betrayed him? Crocodile thought of this at the first time. After all, Yuyen is the cash cow of their Baroque works, and he is always on high alert, but on second thought, even if someone among them betrayed him, it is impossible to choose this time to detonate. Isn't he afraid of being blown to death? The only possibility is that someone not at the scene planted and detonated the bomb. Nico Robin. Crocodile's eyes were red and he muttered the name viciously. Now among the top brass at Baroque Works, the only person not present is Nicole Robin. She is now going to mobilize those low-level agents. It seems that Sand Crocodile, the so-called most luxurious casino, is not as strong as expected, so you probably don't mind us helping you tear it down and rebuild it. Bang bang, bang bang. Along with a burst of applause, Link's handsome face appeared in front of Crocodile. Colonel Link, it's you. So you arranged for Robin to plant this bomb? Crocodile looked at Link fiercely. Of course not. Smoker actually planted these bombs. Link answered very honestly. As an outstanding Marine, Link has always set strict demands on himself by not telling lies as his behavioral standard. Smorg. Crocodile subconsciously glanced at the tall Smog and said with a gloomy face. Is it possible that you used the ability of the yen fruit to turn into a cloud of smoke and entered the Yuyen, and then placed bombs everywhere in the Yuyen? Hearing Crocodile's words, Smog's heart suddenly felt turbulent. Yes. Couldn't he, the smoke man, take the initiative to transform into elements and turn into smoke to enter the rain feast? Why didn't he think of such a method at the beginning? Doesn't he need to become a woman now? It must be that hateful Link who deliberately induced him to not think in that direction because of his bad taste. Smoker roared crazily in his heart, but on the surface he could only remain calm and nodded with a cold face. Yes, it's what you think. That's fine. After hearing Smoker admit that he planted the bomb, Crocodile, instead of feeling angry, breathed a sigh of relief, with an expression that was just fine. As long as Robin has not betrayed him, the core secrets of Alabasta they have discovered have not been exposed to the Navy. It's still not too late. It is true that Crocodile suffered some minor injuries due to the explosion, but these were innocuous. Even if he is injured, he is confident that he can defeat everyone present, and he still has a chance to obtain the legendary most evil battleship Pluto. Crocodile's heart was filled with enthusiasm, and the corners of his mouth that were originally serious and indifferent were slightly raised again, but the next moment, Link showed a formula-like smile to Crocodile. The bombs at the casino rain feast were indeed planted by Smoker. However, your vice president is indeed in charge of the location of the warehouse where your low-level agents gather and the detonation of the bomb. What? Hearing Link's words, Crocodile's smile suddenly froze on his face. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Even if she wants to betray, she can't take refuge in you. Crocodile forced himself to maintain his expression and looked at Link gloomily. Forget it, I don't care about her loyalty anyway. As long as I kill you, she will come back naturally. At this moment, Crocodile was ready to give up his title as king of the Shichibukai. You guys, hurry up. Looks like I have no choice but to go up. In such a situation, Mr. 2, Mr. 3 and other senior agents also knew that even if they wanted to escape, they would have no choice but to advance and retreat together with Crocodile. 400 books to beat. Earth Dragon Banana Slap. Candle Champion. Shemale Boxing and Gorgeous Swan Dance. The only 4 remaining officers of the Baroque working group all attacked Link. However, what stood in front of them was the complete Straw Hat Boys and the swordsman Koshiro. Without any surprise, the cadres themselves are no match for the Straw Hats. In addition, there is a non-native Koshiro who appeared to be a bit of a supermodel in the first half of the Grand Line. The current state of the cadres is quite miserable, and they can only barely support themselves. Think of a solution quickly, Boss Crocodile, that the cadres screamed in despair, but at this moment, Crocodile paid no attention to the idleness of his men, and he fixed his gaze firmly on Link. Only by killing the opponent can Robin return to his command. They're just a country navy from the East China Sea, take your life, that with Crocodile's roar, Desert Sword. Following the hurricane that cut through the air, a sand knife made of sand suddenly shuttled in front of Link. The attack was extremely weird and he didn't know where to start. This is Alabasta, a desert country. In this place, Crocodile's fruit power can be obtained by 120%, the sand all over the mountains and plains will be a weapon in Crocodile's hands, and Link will have nowhere to escape. Go to hell, Crocodile laughed wildly, bite. 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 3 consecutive collisions sounded, and the desert sword that Crocodile had high hopes for did not cause any harm to Link. At this moment, Link's palm was covered with a layer of darkness. Crocodile, have you not eaten today? Can you be more vigorous? Chapter 100, Crocodile's Fall. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. An East Sea Island Navy can actually use armament hockey. The quality of this armament hockey is so high, that looking at the dark in Link's hand, Crocodile's eyes were full of shock. As someone who had traveled to the New World and fought with the top masters, he naturally understood that the quality of Link's armament hockey was beyond imagination. And there are a lot of these guys. It seems that we need to get rid of one of them as soon as possible. Crocodile looked around with his peripheral vision. At present, the number of masters on Link's side is a bit too large. In addition to those who are dealing with the cadres, there are a total of 3 people around him, Link, Smoker, Luffy. Soon, he set his sights on Luffy. The reason is also very simple. Among the 3, Luffy is obviously the weakest one. Crocodile has bad teeth, so he must start from the beginning. Desert Sword. As Crocodile waved his hand, a terrifying yellow sand giant sword swept towards Luffy. Ah! Seeing the giant yellow sand sword coming towards him, Luffy's pupils shrank suddenly, and he stretched his body in an instant, letting the desert sword pass through his crotch. That was close. Luffy wiped the sweat from his head. If he had taken this move just now, he would have been dead. Then you take my move too. Rubber's pistol. Luffy's arm stretched back very long, then he used the reaction force of the rubber and instantly blasted towards Crocodile. Is it too wishful to want to attack me without armament hockey? Looking at Luffy's fist flying towards him, Crocodile sneered. For this kind of fist without armament hockey, he didn't even want to block it. Just as Luffy's fist blasted towards Crocodile, Link, who was standing aside, flashed his hands. Water escape, mist hidden technique. The thick water vapor instantly filled the entire area around. Feeling his body suddenly become sticky, Crocodile's pupils shrank immediately. His sand-like body could not materialize because of the moisture. No, I must quickly absorb the moisture from my body. Crocodile immediately mobilized the ability of the sand fruit, trying to absorb moisture to regain the ability to transform into sand, but before he could absorb the moisture, Luffy's punch had already hit Crocodile. Bang! With just one punch, Crocodile, who was 2.53 meters tall, was instantly knocked away, and even his head felt buzzing from the punch. It has been many years since his actions in Alabasta. In the first half of the Grand Line, he could steadily bully the weak with the innate advantages of the natural fruit. After all, without the armed color domineering, it was not easy for others to hurt him. Naturally, the so-called usual battle against other pirates to protect Alabasta was not actually a battle, but a massacre. Over time, Crocodile gradually forgot how he should have fought. It's like asking a person who hasn't exercised for A long time to suddenly exercise, the other party will definitely not adapt. At this moment, Crocodile also forgot how he should fight, and finally he was dizzy after just taking Luffy's punch. Damn it! If that damn Link hadn't suddenly intervened, how could I have been hit? Crocodile gnashed his teeth and roared angrily after being knocked to the ground by a stinky kid who was far inferior to him. Then he waved his hand, and the yellow sand in his hand turned into a sandstorm. The sky-high sandstorm blocked the sun and isolated himself from Luffy. In this terrifying sandstorm, even if Link used that weird move again, he would be blocked by the sandstorm and could not affect him at all. Boy, come again. Crescent-shaped sand dunes. Crocodile laughed wildly, and his right hand was transformed in an instant, turning into a crescent-shaped sand blade. Once hit by this sand blade, all the water in the body will be sucked out instantly. This is also Crocodile's absolute killer move. The high-speed sand knife, plus the sand storm he just used, has blocked all the positions where Luffy can stand. This move will definitely hit. Go to hell. The next moment, as Crocodile expected, even though Luffy was agile, he still couldn't avoid his sand blade attack in the end when all landing points were blocked. However, before Crocodile could enjoy the pleasure of absorbing all the enemy's moisture, a stunned expression first appeared on his face. A white mist suddenly penetrated into the sand storm, gave him a punch, and saved Luffy by the way, and the moisture that had not been completely sucked out, when Crocodile stood up. Again, the group of smoke had turned back to Smoker's appearance. Crocodile, your next opponent is me. Smoker snorted coldly. Since learning from Link that Crocodile was not good at domineering, Smoker has become much bolder. Everyone is a natural type and not good at hockey, so he is not afraid. What's more, he has a weapon in his hand that has a special attack against natural fruit ability users, the Sea Stone Tent. Once hit by it, it can temporarily deprive the ability of the ability user. It seems that he has what Crocodile has. He still has what Crocodile doesn't have. Smoker, I have the advantage. White fist slash. Smoker's arms suddenly turned into white mist, and only his palm still maintained its entity, holding the 10 hands of Sea Stone and hitting Crocodile. This is Sea Stone. Seeing the 10 hands of Sea Stone in Smoker's hand, Crocodile's pupils shrank immediately. The cage he customized at the Rain Feast was also made of Sea Stone, so he could naturally recognize this material. If the armament hockey can only hit the natural fruit ability user, then Sea Stone can not only hit the natural fruit ability user, but also directly make the ability user depressed. It is a pure mechanism restraint. In this way, if he dares to turn his arm into sand to deal with Smoker like he did with Luffy, he is courting death. The weapon is a good one, but you underestimate me too much. Smoker, let the old senior teach you how to use the natural fruit. The corners of Crocodile's mouth rose. Since he didn't dare to fight Smoker head-on, he would just fight remotely. In addition to consuming physical strength to generate natural power out of thin air, the natural fruit can also freely control the same natural elements, just like Monet, the holder of the snow fruit in the original book, can also freely control the snow. Crocodile can also control the sand of Alabasta. Instantly, there was a loud bang. The earth seemed to shake suddenly. Then the yellow sand in the sky suddenly rose behind Crocodile, and quickly condensed into a vast desert storm. If it were in other places, my sand fruit might not be so good, but in Alabasta, a desert country that is naturally suitable for me, it is absolutely unstoppable. Crocodile laughed wildly. Hey. Everyone is eating natural fruits, isn't this a bit outrageous? Smoker looked at the terrifying sandstorm coming towards him, and his face suddenly turned pale. How come his smoke fruit has never been able to cause such a big scene? Link, why don't you come to help? Do you want to see me die? After seeing that Crocodile could actually summon such a disaster, Smoker also realized that he was indeed no match for Crocodile. Even though neither of them was good at using armament hockey, Crocodile's own fruit proficiency and geographical advantages were too obvious. I can't do anything about it. Alas, Colonel Smoker, it seems that you still need to practice more. You can't even beat a mere crocodile, otherwise how can I compete with you for merit? But fortunately, this should be his last blow. Otherwise, I guess there is nothing I can do. As soon as Smoker finished speaking, Link suddenly appeared beside Smoker, his eyes narrowed slightly. Originally, he was planning to let Smoker, Luffy and others fight Crocodile. He would just wait for them to defeat Crocodile and take the credit. He never thought that Crocodile was completely different from the original work. He could actually suppress Smoker and Luffy steadily. Even if Link did not take action, they might die. Link, your armament haki is indeed very strong, but can you withstand my move? In this world, only powerful devil fruits are the mainstream. Crocodile spread his arms, and the whistling sand and dust were raging. His move has faintly touched the edge of the awakening of the natural fruit, and maybe he can break through it later. Is the fruit ability the mainstream? Crocodile, do you really think so? Link shook his head. Perhaps it was because the ability of the sand fruit was indeed too powerful. As long as he was slightly proficient in the fruit ability, Crocodile could become one of the 7 warlords of the sea, but the easier it is to get power, the easier it is to become dependent. It is precisely because the power of the sand fruit is too strong and easy to use that Crocodile lacks the training of haki. Crocodile, only haki is above everything. With a terrifying spirit, a dark lightning appeared in Link's hand. Boom! Link's fist wrapped in black lightning hit Crocodile's desert storm. Can natural disasters really be countered by human power? If it were before today, Crocodile would not believe it. However, after seeing Link's attack, he changed his mind. Link's fist wrapped in black lightning not only pierced through the desert storm he released, but also pierced through his chest and all his ambitions. Devil fruit, Pluto, haki. Is it possible that the direction I have been working towards is wrong?